Okay. It's odd that it didn't actually catch. Hey, welcome to my stream this morning. This morning we are going to work on our FileMaker, and we're going to do some scripting this morning. For those of you who are watching us, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. I'll read them and then answer them to the best of my ability. There was a few questions from last week, and one of them had to do with why we covered up some of the data. You know, why we even put it on the line. Because what we did was, like, this is, let's see, this was no tax. I'll move that over here just a little bit because there's one underneath of it, right? Yeah, so this is a non-display inventory from non-taxable. No tax total. Just so we don't get confused as to what we're doing. And then this one's line total, and was there anything underneath line total? There is. Price. Okay. So we do need to write that down quick, that we did put the price is hidden. We'll just keep that in mind because we are going to need to know that. We're just going to move this over here. And then here we have the non-taxable, which is also hidden. I'm just writing this down quick because I had to, I've been doing so many other things, I've just kind of gotten a little lost on what the heck I was doing with this. So, but we are back, don't worry, we are back. We'll get it down. It just takes me a few minutes to kind of get reorganized. Now we do know that under quantity is the product ID. So one of the questions that we had last week was, why did we hide those things? Well, the reason why we hid those things is because we need the information on the line. So like the product ID number, the reason why we need the product ID number is so that when we press this X button, when we try to remove it from the inventory, that we can put it back in the inventory, because we're going to need to be able to find it in the inventory. And without a product ID number, we're not going to be able to find it, because the names can be very, very similar to each other. Like gum, you know, rainbow striped gum and rainbow striped gum. You might have two of those and it won't know which one, and it'll just add to both of those inventories, or if the names are similar, unless you put it in quotation marks. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And the rest of them are just, they give us the ability to put information in there without really messing up things. So let's go manage our database really quick. And we are under, I believe, invoice. And so the line total is the quantity times the price. So when we're doing our script, see, we need to know that, because when we're doing our script, we need to put in that quantity price, or we need to be able to put in just the regular price and then show the total price. So if we have 5 sticks of gum or 5 packages of gum and each one is $1, it'll show $5 instead of the individual price, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to just go ahead and say that that's okay. So one thing that we're going to do is let's go manage our scripts, and let's start off with, let's just create a brand new script. And we're going to call this script master button. And we're just going to do master button number 1 so that we know which one it is. So master button is just completely fine. Let's do that. And now and if you press Control S, it'll save it. It'll save the name because the name is actually there. So one of the first things that we're going to do is, I've got stuff everywhere. So we're just going to have to kind of find it as we go along. But so one of the very first things that we're going to want to do with this master button script here is let's type in freeze window. If we just type in freeze, it'll go good. And the reason why we're doing that is because we don't want it to go. We don't want the end user, the person that's actually using it, to see this thing running through the script. So we just want it to kind of stay right where it is while it's performing the script. So freeze window. Then the next thing we're going to want to do is we need to set a variable. So if we just type in set, you'll get set field, set blah, 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 all these other things, and you up and down. Or if you put a set variable in your favorites, then it's already there, and you just click on it. Click it twice. This one, I'm just going to delete it. Okay. So we need to set a variable, and that variable that we need to do is we need it to be product ID. So let's just type in, and I don't want any caps. I just want to type in product ID, and then if we go to the value, it'll automatically add that $sign that you see right here to let you know that it is a variable. And we'll specify exactly what we want that variable to be. And that's pretty simple. We're going to just tell it to get reached you. Get. Let's type in over here. Get I know it is script parameter, so there it is. Get script parameter. So we'll type that. And we'll get rid of the first get because we don't need the first get. Okay. So get script parameter. Let's just delete this. I just don't want to take any chances. Now we're good to go. So now what it's going to do is it's going to get the script parameter, and I'm going to show you where the script parameter is and what it actually does. But this is the key issue to the entire script. This is what allows you to use one script for 1,000 different buttons. This is like the biggest thing that you will learn on this station or on this stream ever. This is the big one. So learn it. I just don't know how else to say it. So now we've got the script parameter. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to put in an if statement. I'm clicking twice, it's not working. Click off, click back on. So if, and now what we're trying to do is we need to integrate our quantity button. So if is empty, let's start with that. If is empty, and the field that we're looking for is under the invoice, I believe, and it should be, oh wait, it better not be under the invoice, it better be under this one. Ooh, this is gonna not be good. Oh, if it's under menu. What? I was not thinking this morning. Okay, so if is empty, the menu quantity button, then we are going to set a variable. And our variable is going to be we're going to just call it sale quantity or sale amount. That might be easier. And that is going to be 1. Then we'll end the if, because if it's empty, it will actually work inside of there. So the screen that you're seeing here is it says it will only if this works, or if the quantity window is empty, then the part of that script will actually work. Okay, so the menu quantity button, blah, 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 if it's empty, then that part of your script will actually fulfill itself. But if it's not empty, if there is something in it, then it will actually perform. So if it is empty, that's what you want to do. So here we don't have to do anything else. We can now set, we can set a variable, but we might have better do another if statement just in case, because we don't want it to grab, because if we set it, if we say if it is empty, then perform this sale amount, it will set the variable. But if it's not empty, and then we just put set variable here, it's not going to skip over it. So let's just put another if. And now we'll just say not is empty. And we will do menu quantity. Then set the variable. And we'll just do sale amount, just like we did the other one. And we'll specify as the menu quantity box. And we'll call it good. Now what we've done is we've assured, so if it is empty, it will give it a value of 1. If it is not empty, then it will give it a value of whatever's in the box. So if the box has 10 in it, then it will give that value to the box, or it'll give that value under the sale amount into the script. And then we can end the if. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to probably go to, so at this point we can go to our layout. And let's just pick a good layout. So the best one to do is the inventory admin, because you're going to leave that one pretty much open. So, and whatever changes you do on inventory admin are reflected on the other ones. So, or you can just go into the inventory. It's not actually, let's see, what is this one? Inventory. So you could go into this inventory button too if you wanted to, because this one is hidden. No one will ever see it, and it's not a true one. That might actually be the easiest way to do it. So let's just go to this inventory, because all of the buttons are there. Everything is there. So we'll go to that layout. And now what we want to do is we need to perform a find, or we need to enter find mode. We need to find this product so that we can actually take it out of stock, right? So if we just type in enter find mode, if we just type in enter, it'll be find mode. But we don't want it to pause, so we need to unclick the pause. And we don't want to enter a specific request. And the reason why is because if you start digging, if you have a bunch of worms and you're digging those worms, and they're program worms is what they are. I don't know why that is on my window, but that is retarded. Click here, okay. So it just disappeared. So what a worm is it goes in a different direction. So when you're writing a script is a very linear direction, and that's where you want to keep it. If you put in all these little subscripts and all these other little, wormholes or ant holes or branches that go off in all these other directions, it can confuse your scripting, and it can become very confusing, and it will make your life miserable in the end. So let's keep everything linear as best as we can. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter find mode. Then we are going to set a field, and that field is going to be and we'll go into inventory, and that's going to be our product ID. And the calculated result is going to be, should be written in this $ product ID. So what we'll do is we just type in $ product ID. And it's got to be exactly the same as it is written right here. Exactly the same. If it's off, if you have a capital, make sure you put the capital in there, because otherwise it is extremely specific. It has to be exactly the same. Okay? I don't know if I've stressed that enough. Hey, thanks everybody for joining the stream. I see that there's a bunch of you guys here, so and I hope that I'm helping out. I hope I'm not talking too much, because I try not to talk too much. So now we've set the field as to what we want to do. So what's the next thing you're going to do? Perform the find, right? So we'll perform the find. And we don't need to specify any requests. All we need to do is perform the find. And now all of the data that is in that, what it will do is it will isolate it. And I'll show you how to run these programs too, or these scripts, so that you can check them out later on. But so what it's going to do now is it's going to put in all the data that you need into that area. So now that we've performed the find, now we can start collecting our variables. So we're going to set like 5 variables right off the bat. So now we need to set a variable. So what's a variable that we need to set? Well, we are going to set, we need to set price. Specify. And this is under inventory, and it's going to be price. Or let's not do that, because it's actually not the price. It's actually the sale price, the price we're selling it for, right? That's what we want. Okay. And so now we have that one. And another one that we're going to need is we're going to need set variable. And this one's going to be product name, because your customer is going to want to know what it is that they're buying, right? Product name. Call that good. We're going to set another variable. And this variable will be, and this master script is only for taxable items. If we're going to do a non-taxable item, you have to recreate this script almost identical and then just start using the non-taxable stuff. So you will have to have 2 scripts, one for taxable, one for non-taxable, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. And you can actually meld them together as well if you put in a bunch of if statements and you created this linear path and blah, 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 made all these weird things, but that's okay. We'll just go with that. So we have the price, we have the product name, we have the quantity already. It's up here. We set it as sale amount. So we do have a variable that's following us every place that we're going. So what other information do we need? We need set variable. I'm just thinking for just a second, because my brain cell's trying to be like, I know you're missing one. That's okay. If we're missing one, we can add it later. So I guess let's just get rid of this variable. Let's just cancel this one. It's already highlighted, so I can just delete it. So if I'm, so I performed the find. I now have product ID. I have the sale amount, or the price for the product name, and the quantity. So that should be it, right? That should be everything that I need for this particular item. That's great. So now that we've done that, we can, we do need to set a field. We do now at this point, this is when we're actually going to start making changes to the inventory, right? So what we need to do is we need to set a field. But that field we want to change, right? So let's set the target field is going to be under inventory, and it's going to be your location 1 or your location 2. So what we're looking for is product that is currently in location 1. So we're going to take that information, or we're going to manipulate that information. I'm just like, and the calculated result is going to be the I know what it is I want to do. The problem is just getting it out. So location 1 minus, and now you can add your quantity, right? So and it'll be sale amount. So sale amount. Inventory location 1 minus the sale amount. Okay. Now it just removed it from your inventory. So now what we need to do is we need to commit records. We just commit those records, and then we need to go to a layout. I'm clicking you. There you go. Now the layout that we need to go to is going to be this particular layout that we're on. And it's invoice. But now we need to know which invoice. So is it invoice under register, or is it? It is. See, so up here in this corner it says invoice under the table register. And here it says invoice under the table of register, or invoice under the table of invoice. Well, we obviously want to do the invoice here under the, I hope you guys saw what I was doing. This one says invoice under invoice, invoice under register. This is invoice under register, so that should be the right one that we want to go to. And now, if we want to, I'm going to Control S. I'm going to just save the work that we started doing. And now what we're going to want to do is we need to use our Invoice Lock. So the very first thing that we probably want to do is probably do an if. Let's do an if statement. Because I like if statements, because if it's actually what it's supposed to be, then it performs it. But if it's not, then it just skips it. So it's kind of nice, because you can say, well, if this is correct, let's do all this stuff. But if it's not, then let's not worry about it, right? So that works out very, very well for me. So what we're looking for is and this is probably going to be under invoice. And this should be our invoice ID number. So if our invoice ID number is not equal to slock, invoice is not equal to, and I'm gonna type this in because you guys are just gonna be like, what is he talking about? Because we don't currently have that variable, right? Because we didn't put it in there, so we did miss it. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to go back up here in the top, and we need to go just click on the freeze window, and then we'll just set another variable. And this one, we're just going to type in lock, because it'll put the $sign in front of it. And we're going to specify what we want it to be. And it's going to be in the menu. And so it's going to be the num lock. Remember that num lock thing that we were talking about? This is a lifesaver for a lot of people, because what happens is FileMaker tends to get confused from time to time, and it may take things from places that it's not supposed to, or it may change things that it's not supposed to. So we're just guaranteeing what better be safe than sorry, right? So let's take the invoice number, carry it with us everywhere that we go, and make absolutely positive that we're putting information on the correct invoice, right? I think that's only wise. It's a smart thing to do. So this is what we're doing. We're setting that variable as the invoice number that should be there. And then here we're saying, okay, if the invoice number is not correct, then we need to perform a find, right? So we'll just kind of click on the if part, and then we'll go over here. That's not actually true. We need to enter find. Enter find mode. Okay. And we don't want it to pause. No pausing. And now so if it is not equal to it, then we'll enter find mode, and we will gotta erase this because I know what I'm talking about. Then we're going to set the field, and the target field is actually going to be the invoice ID. Invoice ID. And the calculated result is going to be the S lock, right? Or the $ lock. And then after that, we need to perform the find. And we can just come down here. I'm so used to just doing the perform find, and then I'm just going to move it up here. And we don't need to specify any find requests. We'll just perform the find, and then that invoice, it will find that invoice number. And then we can just end the if, right? But now what we need to do is we need to go to the, we need to make sure that we're stacking our invoice correctly. So let's go to, I'm going to go to portal row. And I want to go to the very last one. And now is where we're going to start to put in information. Okay, so we go to the portal row, go to the last one, because remember, there's always one that's not being used. So there's always a portal row that just kind of sits there vacant, ready to be used, ready to put in information. Because otherwise it will show nothing unless you have a new record request up. So we went to the portal row last. Now what we need to do is we need to set all of those fields that we had. So if we set field, target field, invoice, just click on any one you want. We just did, that one was product name. So just look up here and we see it says $ product name. Just type in that, $ product name. Because at this point, you're just filling in the fields that you need to fill in. So the next one that you want to fill in is, I wish that it would just maintain the last one that I was on instead of continuously changing. So I have to change it every single time. We're going to do quantity. And the calculated result is going to be $ sale amount, right? Okay. And we have to click, and then we have to go set field. And we'll go to invoice, and we'll set the price. And I think I set the price as price, right? Yep, calculated result. Oh, I think, yeah, that should be correct. We'll figure it out. $price. Because that should be correct. Because I got line total. I'm absolutely positive now that it is the invoice price page, right? Okay. So now we have that. Let's set another field. So we have the product name. Well, we do need the product ID. That is an absolute must. We have to have the product ID number. And that one is the, you guys remember which one where is it? It's up there, right? But I think I'm gonna just do this from my brain here. Product ID, I'm pretty positive that that's what I put it in as. So, and this is a long script. This is a long script. It does a lot of things for you. So, and it is product ID. There it is. So we did do that one correctly. So we set the field. We set quantity. We set price. We've got the product name. And I think we're good. I think we're good. Now, go to layout. So if the invoice perform find, and if, well, we might need to. Might need to do a new record request. Let's just put it in there. We don't care, right? Actually, we do. We care a lot. Okay, so now that we've set all of our fields, we need to commit the records. And perform without dialog, because we don't need that. Why did that one tell me it needed to do? We can skip the data entry validation too. I don't remember having to do this on the last one that I actually wrote. Actually skipping that, it should have just been like commit records. So there it is, commit records request, delete. Okay. After we've committed the records, we need to go back to the original layout, and then we need to halt the script. So from here, we will go to go. I hate the fact that you have to go over here all the time. So we'll just go to layout, original layout, and then halt script. And you have to delete it. Now it should work. Everything should work. Control S. So now we should be good. X. So now we've got our master button. So let's exit this layout. Do we have any of these going back to the regular menu? Nope. So let's do this really fast. Let's go to the entry menu. And we have register 1, register 2, and then a blank button and some other buttons that we are not currently using. But we will finish up the entry menu. I promise you we will get all of this done. Not today, but I mean we will get it all done. So let's go to our menu 1. Let's not use a menu 1 template or anything. Let's just go to menu 1. So we can see what we're doing. Now the numbers lock, exit layout, directory. Oh, we haven't done that yet. So we need to tell this thing what to do. Do nothing. Single step. Go to. We're going to go to layout, and the layout we will go to is to do invoice register. Now, if you do this on your template, which we will do on our template, but if you do this on your template, every single copy of the template that you create will have the exact same data on it. So I'm just using this one as a test. When I get my template done, when I completely finish it, I will copy off of it. It will always be a template, so I'm not wanting to make any changes to my template right now. Only thing I want to do here is I want to create something and then see if it works. So what we're doing now is we're just trying to test our program and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then we'll debug it. We'll figure out why it's not working. Because sometimes it's just a cross T or dotted I, something simple. So now this one, if we exit the layout, this one should light up and should take us to our invoice, right? Let's see. There's the invoice. But notice, nothing is on the invoice. So you have to press new record, ta-da, and now there's actually an ability for something to happen in there. Now we can do, we have to do edit layout, otherwise it won't bring up. And then we do layout, and we set tab order, and we're going to clear all of them because we don't want any tabs, we don't want any tab orders on this. Okay, and then we want to, in the field entry, the only one that we want is the amount tendered. This one, these we don't want available in browse mode or find mode. This one we don't want available in browse mode or find mode. These two, the security box, we don't want available in browse mode. But the override is one you're going to actually put information into. These, all of these are not available in browse or find mode. What? There we go. And these exactly the same way. If you just press and hold your shift button, we don't want them available either. So if we exit the layout, we should not be able to change anything, but apparently we can. Those are the buttons that were underneath. So let's move it over here. Well, you know what? You can leave it. You can leave those on find mode. That's fine. This one, I'm just going to move it over by hand. Not available in browse mode. And then this one. Not available in browse mode. So now if we escape, if we exit the layout, you can see there you can't change anything anywhere, right? Okay, edit layout. And there were no buttons here. So our invoice number, it hasn't given us an invoice number. The invoice ID number. And I don't know why. Invoice ID. We'll make that one available in find mode. We don't care. So manage. Let's go to the database. Invoice. So the invoice ID, auto enter serial number. And it's supposed to auto enter from 1 bazillion or whatever, right? Okay. Okay. Exit layout. New record. Okay, you. Show me a number. Maybe I am... Maybe I'm missing something. It says 13... Oh, Okay. It's supposed to give us a number. It's supposed to give us a number. Let's go back into manage our database. Let's do this. I'm going to just try this. Just going to try it. Invoice ID. And this one is going to be a number. Create. I'm going to double click on that. We're going to create a serial number. And this serial number, I'm going to do 2 and then 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That way at least I know where the number is coming from, right? James Buck, did you create a record in the invoice table? Yes, I did. Oh, I created it. I just got to push OK. OK. So now if I do field picker, invoice ID, we're just trying this out, James. Let's see if it works. Because it could be that I put my invoice ID down in the wrong place. Exit layout. Okay, so here it is. And now if I put in a new number, so it does. There is the mistake that I made was that and obviously I like to make mistakes because when I make mistakes, you don't. So what we did actually was when we did our invoice ID section is because it is supposed to be inside of this field or this area and it's not inside that area, that's why it's not registering under the new register. So this is where we actually get the invoice ID numbers from. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's put our new invoice ID over here. We'll move this just a little bit. We're just going to move it around just a little bit. So now when we go to so now we have this number, which is this is the number that we absolutely need to have. So now when we go to our menu page, so let's hurry up and do that really quick. So I'm going to double click on this. We'll change. Come on. There we go. Do nothing. Single step. Go to. We want this one to go to that. Remember the oh, we can't do a single step, can we? Because this one we actually want it to take our number with us. Hey James, God, thank you, sir. You're very welcome. I really appreciate doing it. So we can't do that, can we? We can't just perform a single script to go to this place. So we're going to have to actually tell it to perform a script. And we're going to have to create a new script. So we're just going to hit the new script, and we're just going to name this go to menu. And then what we want it to do is the very first thing we want it to do is we want it to set a variable, right? And that variable needs to be the invoice ID. And we're just going to type in invoice. And it's the register invoice ID. And now we can tell it to go to the menu page. So it can be like just go to layout. And the layout is going to be the menu. And I didn't want it to be, I'm just going to go to the menu 1 for now. That's good. But later on we'll go to, we'll make changes. Don't worry. But what we're doing now is we're just basically trying to test our script and make sure that our script is correct. And I know it is, but I do know that there's a flaw in it. And I did that so that we could actually go through our debug system. So we're going to go to the layout, menu 1, and then we need to set a field when we get there. So set field, specify. And this is going to be under menu. I said menu. There we go. So now we have our num lock, right? That's where we're going to actually set it. So we're going to set our num lock, and the calculated result is going to be $invoice. So now when we go there, I think that should be it. We don't even have to end the script. It should be just fine. But if you're like me, you're gonna live, eat, breathe, and die. You're gonna just kill yourself and to just continue to stay up at night until did I put halt script on that one? Did I stop the script? Because sometimes it's good to just stop the script. You're like, all right, we're done. Okay. So now we are good to go. And okay. And okay. So now if we exit this layout and we have our number and we go to menu, here in the very top of this screen right here, this is our invoice number set. So it's actually where it's supposed to be, right? Got it. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to grab a random button. Let's grab this button. Is it doing anything? It's doing nothing, right? Edit layout. And this button, actually what we may need to do first, let's go to our menu first, or our inventory. And let's go to our inventory admin because that's the one that I like. So we have Jawbreakers at 102 and Soda Pop at 103, or 102. So let's just write down Soda at 102 and we'll Jawbreakers at 101. So now let's go back to our menu. Where is it? Where is it? Where's our menu? It's not under entry menu. I know it's not under entry menu. Edit layout. I guess I'm going to have to just, obviously I took it off of there so that it was not visible. So now if I I'm going to make a change to this button. What do I want this button to do? I'm going to put, let's just put job breaker. That works for me. And we're going to tell it to perform a script. And we have the script. It's a master button script. But we have to add a script parameter. And the jawbreaker is 101, right? That's the number that we wrote down. And we'll call it good. And I'm not adding prices right now. I'm just figuring out, we're just going to work on the script right now. That's the whole point of today's series, is the script. And this one we're going to call the soda pop. And we're going to tell it to perform the exact same script, right? But this time we want it to do, because our product number is 102, we're going to put in 102 on the script parameter. Okay. So now if we hit this button, it should give us a soda pop. So exit layout. If we hit this button, no records match this criteria. So let's modify. Let's not do that. Let's just cancel that. So let's go to Edit, Manage, Scripts. This one, Debug. So now what it does is it's going to step us through the script and what it's doing as it steps through the script, right? So here we are, first part of the script. And we'll just go down, and you can run it. So right now it is, here it comes to the product ID. Now remember, this was an inventory page that we went to, right? So it says, and where are we at? We're entering the find mode. And we're going to go one more. And it says, okay, set field inventory product ID number. Perform the find. But it didn't set the field to product ID number, did it? Because the set variable was to get the script parameter. Now in the last one that I wrote, some of the other scripts that I've actually written, it has allowed me to do that, just get the script parameter and set it immediately. And on some of the ones I've done before that, it has, and that's the iffy thing about FileMaker, and sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry. And I love that STS, so better to be safe than sorry. So we can fix this very quickly. Let's fix it, because we're not getting the numbers that we want, right? So if we just continue to go on, it'll tell us, guess what? We have no request. Okay? So, but what was it doing? It was setting the ID. It said set enter find mode, set field inventory product ID to product ID. So it should have went right straight to that, right? Let's just tell it to do it. User canceled action. Come on. It's gotta let me do it again. So what I had to do before was, and you can just step in F6 too, just so you know. What I did before, see, it went to this ID, it went to perform find, but it should have set this field, product ID. Okay. Let's try this a different way really quick. And let me show you how to do that. We are going to go to the entry menu, then we're going to edit layout, and then we're going to go into our menu 1. And we have a box, and then we have this box. And we have no other boxes and no other things hidden anywhere in here yet. So let's manage our database. And fortunately, it will bring up menu because we're on the menu page. And so now what we'll do is we are going to set a we'll set a code box. I know I don't like doing that just constantly. We have a passcode box. Let's just create a what's called a code box or a CodeBot, whichever you want. I like CodeBot. And it will be a number, and we will create it. And now it's done. So we'll say OK. Now we're going to take a field picker, and we're going to look at CodeBot, but we don't want anything special, fancy dancy. And we're just going to take CodeBot, and we're going to put him anywhere that we want to on the page. Just you can put him anywhere you want to. I tend to put him just like out in the open, but he's got to be, I guess, just a little more sizable. And we are going to make him disappear. So when you click on him, the appearance, there will be no fill and no line and no outer shadow, and this text color will be none. So he'll basically not exist. So now if you exit layout, it doesn't exist, but you can touch it, right? So we need to make sure that you can't touch it. So edit layout. Then we're going to go to our inspector, and we're going to go to data, and not available in browse mode. Pretty simple. So now if we exit, you can't change it. Of course, this one we don't want to change that one either, so we should probably get rid of that one in browse mode too, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's go through and manage our script. Freeze window, set variable. So the very first thing that we're going to want to do when we set this variable is we are going to want to move the script parameter to that box, and then so it'll make sense in just a minute. So just hang on for just a second. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we want to get, and then remember it's called script parameter. If I didn't push the right button. Why is it not searching for a script parameter? Back. What should be get? No. All right. Well, here we have already got script parameter. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Okay, so we need to set field. And did it? I hope it didn't do it all the way down at the bottom. Come on, set field. Okay. This field, specify the field, CodeBot, specify. And this one will be get script parameter. Get script parameter. Okay, now we should be able to get off of that. Menu CodeBot get script parameter. And then we will set the value lock, number lock. And we will set a variable. And this variable, product ID, and it will be CodeBot. Okay. Now it should work. Control S. Close that. Close that. But I do want to see what's going on in CodeBot just for this purpose. So let's change its appearance so that we can at least see the numbers that are popping up. So the color, we're just going to make it a super light, and I'm going to put it right dead smack in the middle. Now we can exit the layout. Now we'll put a soda pop in. Cancel. It still didn't work. So edit, manage, scripts, and it's this one. We're going to debug it, and we will just go through F6. So in this one, I'm just going to press the F6 so we can see. The operation could not be completed because the target is not part of a related table. And where were we at? Menu, set field, code box, set variable, lock, value, menu, numlock. What? Okay, well, I guess we messed that one up pretty good. Set field menu, freeze button, set field menu, CodeBot as get script parameter, which should work. Calculated result. I'm going to delete it because sometimes you have to put it in there. Like you have to actually pick it exactly the same way as they have it. Or I'll just type in script. Okay. Control S, Control S. I don't know why I was doing that. Debug it. F6. Operation could not be completed because the target is not part of a related table. Relationship is missing, but we shouldn't have that issue. Because we're all on that. Edit layout, inventory, menu 1, manage, scripts. Okay, freeze window, set field menu, get script parameter. I don't understand quite why it is telling me to get to script, or that it's telling me that it can't. Can't do it. CodeBot. Let's debug it right here. F6. So it did. It picked it up as a. Did you notice that? It picked it up, because if you go back just a second, you'll see that it had the 102 up there. So now we just set the variable. I don't know why it's. I guess it's because it didn't start on the right page. F6. We'll just set the variable as what was in CodeBot. Go to Layout, Inventory. There's our inventory. Set field, product ID, and it didn't do it. It didn't set that field. Why? Go to Layout, Inventory, Inventory. Enter Find Mode. Cancel. Cancel. And every time you do that, you have to stop. So it went from inventory to inventory, enter mine. So set the product ID, right? Because that's what this, let's lay out. Yeah, that's product ID. That's the ID number. Set tab order. We're going to clear all the tabs. I can't. Tabs in some cases are good, and tabs in most cases are not good. So it's product ID, and if we click on it, it will actually tell us. So if we go to like the data section, it'll say inventory ... product ID. And so that's what this should say when we're looking at this. So product ID, exactly the same. So we're going to set the field, and then here's product ID. So okay, so let's go back to let's go back to the menu 1 page and start this again. And you know, it's frustrating when you get to this point, because I've done this like a bazillion times and it's worked every single time. And I did put some things in the script that I knew wouldn't work, but this should be working a lot farther than what it actually is. So F6, we're just going to go through this. Oh, you know what? Let's just stop it. Menu 1. Okay. Now we need to exit layout. The reason why I'm moving this over here is I want to watch it do what it's supposed to do. So here we are. Freeze window. Then F6. It's going to set field menu CodeBot get script parameter. And it should have set that field, but it did not. Halt. Did we see? Oh, maybe it did, and I just didn't see the color. I'm going to change it to red. That way I can see it and I don't have to worry about it. So, okay. Now we'll debug it, and we'll remember that it's above the second box. So if we go F6, it did not set the code. Okay. Let's cancel this. because it's obviously not going to do it because it doesn't have. So the problem is this. The problem is it's not able to find the script parameter for some odd reason. Go back to number 1. Okay. So that's what our problem is our problem is that it is setting the field as the script parameter. I don't remember. I did have this issue like a long time ago, and I had to figure out what the heck it was that I was doing. Actually, how to get it to work, but your script parameter should have worked. Okay, well, let me just take a second to grab a cup of coffee. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, so James was just asking if when you're debugging it, so when you're debugging it, it should work just fine. But let's close the script, exit the layout, hit SodaPop, and see it still doesn't do it. So we do need to go. It is somewhere in our script actually that is something is not working in that script. And it's right here, this script parameter thing. So, oh, that's why. Menu. That needed to be on menu. Did you guys see that? So this needs to be in menu. Okay, now it should work. Control S. So now if we debug that little sucker, but let's go back to menu 1. Let's just make sure we're in the right place. And we have our little CodeBot up. And we're going to exit the layout. Now it says 102. But we do need to erase it every time we need to reset it at every time. So if we press F6 now, or let's go to debug first, and we press F6. So set code as the script parameter, which it did. Now it's going to set the num lock, set the variable, and then if it's empty, if it's not empty, and then we're going to go to the layout to the inventory. We're going to enter the find mode. We're going to set our field. Did it set our field? It did not set a field. And now if we perform find, it will do nothing. So inventory location, this is our field that we're looking at. And it's pretty interesting that all this stuff has to be exactly in the right spot. You have to make sure that you're clicking on the right thing. So set field, inventory, product ID, perform find. So get script parameter, set variable, product ID is, and the value is CodeBot. right? I don't know why it erased it last time. Menu, just making sure that all of these are in the right space. Menu, go to layout, inventory, enter find mode. Let's change, let's tell it to go to a different layout. Inventory admin. And then this one we're going to tell it to go to, and it should be, that should be correct, because it is all under inventory. And now let's close this, edit layout, start back at our menu page. And remember, when we get done with the CodeBot, we need to, so from this point, set variable, menu CodeBot. So at this point, let's go and let's set the field, specify CodeBot. Okay, and the calculator result is, all we want is just the quotation marks, because we want to clear it out every single time so that there's nothing in that field. We'll control S, debug. So now there should be nothing in there, and we'll click it down. Now there should be, it should set that field, and it didn't set it. Set field, get script parameter. So there must be something that we're missing on the get script parameter part, because it should have gotten the script parameter and then put it into that box. Let's just stop this. Let's try this one more time. So if we set, let's, I'm going to change this to, let's go here. Let's set variable. And this variable is going to be CodeBot. Oop. CodeBot. And the variable that we want is going to be get script parameter. And we have to just type in script. Get script parameter. Okay. Okay. Now we set the variable CodeBot. So let's set this field, this one. And let's just change that to $CodeBot. Okay. Okay. Control S. God, you got to click on it every time. Control S, even though that should be the right one. All right, now if we move this down here, let's debug it. F6. Set variable. It's not putting it in there. I don't know why. Nope. Okay, guys, well, I guess I'm going to have to do a little more research on figuring out what I did wrong and why it didn't work, but I will come back and do another video tomorrow with the resolution to this issue so that you guys aren't having to go very long without it. But this is the basic program. I will find out what I did wrong and fix it, and I'll be back tomorrow. But until then, I don't really want to go any farther with this because it's everything today kind of hinged on the fact that we would get this script up and running so we could write a few other scripts that are tied into this script. So until then, I guess I will see you guys tomorrow. I certainly apologize for the short stream, but I will figure this out and I will get back to you. It's obviously something that I'm missing that's really simple, and it's just early in the morning and I haven't had enough coffee. I don't know what it is. But until then, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for coming in. We'll see you then.